this meeting. So if you are not comfortable recording, you are welcome to change your name. You can, you don't have to put yourself on camera or anything like that. Like I said, this is to benefit the people who are not able to attend. It was pretty tricky to find a meeting time that was going to be conducive for everyone. So thank you all for joining us today. We're on our second meeting of recovery-oriented system of care focused in Logan and Mason counties. And so as usual, we always have new people joining us. So I'd like for us to take this opportunity to, I will try and do around the room, but I'd like you to introduce yourself, maybe share what agency you're part of, or what brings you to the table if you'd like to, or if you just want to share your name, that's cool too. So we can all know who everyone is. So let's just start my boxes. Go ahead, Kim, will you start us off, please?
Kim Turner with probation and Logan County Drug Court and the 11th Circuit Veterans Treatment Court.
Thanks for being part of this. Becky, would you like to go?
Sure, my name is Becky and I'm a behavioral health therapist at Mason District Hospital. I work in the West Medical Building. I've been here for about like 8 months down here in Havana. I'm not from this area, but I'm trying to learn very quickly like who's around here and like what resources that we have, and trying to provide the best services that we can to the patients that come through here. So.
Well, thank you for joining us today, Becky.
Yeah.
Tyler, would you go for us next, please?
Hey everyone, my name is Tyler. I've been a prevention specialist with Nadia and Grace for a month now, and it's been a great time so far, and I'm glad to be here and seeing a lot of new faces as well. So nice to meet you all.
All right, down from that, Grace, would you please go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Grace. I'm a prevention specialist at Chestnut with Nadia and Tyler, and I've been working here for 6 months. It's very exciting.
All right, yes. New prevention staff, you know, looking at that continuum of care, there's a great parallel, and thinking about that semicircle where the projects that they're working on can collaborate with the projects that this group will be working on. All right, Don, you ready?
Yeah, I'm Don Cavey. I'm administrator at Logan County Department of Public Health, and it's great to be here.
All right, well, thanks for joining us today, Don. All right,
Thanks.
Vicki, would you like to do the round robin at your crew that you have sitting in your watch party?
Go ahead, start. James, start. Sure did.
I'm Deborah Denny and I'm just in recovery.
Just in recovery.
No, it's not. That's awesome. Thanks for joining us, Deborah. All right, who's next?
I'm Jamie and I have almost 17 years in recovery.
Who else is in there?
Vicky Bree,
Hey, Vicki.
recovering addict, volunteer, been in the field since 2003, but not current.
Okay. Thanks for joining us, Vicki and crew. Appreciate it. All right, Patty.
My crew.
If you have like a watch party name, I'd be happy to utilize that. So, okay. Patty, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. Patty Beck.
Oh, you're muted. Unmute. Did I mute you? What did I do? Go ahead. Try again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, Patty Becker with United Way of Logan County. Hi, everyone.
All right, Marcia, you ready?
Yes. Hi, Marcia Cook. I'm the owner of the Moksha Center in downtown Lincoln. It's a new holistic wellness center with alternative services.
Thank you for joining us today. All right, Rachel, would you like to go?
Hi, everybody. I'm Rachel Capper. I am going to be starting as prevention specialist with Nadia and Tyler and Grace as soon as paperwork goes through. So I'm actually going to be getting to know a lot of you. I'm really excited.
Thank you, Rachel. All right, Jeanette, would you like to go next?
Hi, my name is Jeanette Harris. I actually am on day 4 of being a recovery specialist at Chestnut. And I love coming in the room and seeing people I know. I see faces that I know are super, hey girls. active in our community. So I love it. I love it. And Marcia. And so, yes, I also want to include though, I come with Chestnut, but involved in the Diversity Inclusion Commission here in the city of Lincoln. So, loving to connect and hear what's going on. So
Thanks, Jeanette. As you can see, Chestnut, we're getting some extra people to help serve the community. It used to be me, myself, and I, but now the more the merrier, right? So, okay, go ahead, Josh.
Hey y'all, good afternoon. My name is Josh Christ and I work with SIU School of Medicine, Center for Rural Health and Social Service Development. I'm serving SIU Medicine's Western region. And a lot of the work that the center undertakes is in service of healthy communities and substance use prevention, treatment, and recovery. So I'm glad to be here.
Thank you for joining us. All right, Shelby, you're up.
Shelby Harvey for Chestnut Health Systems, and I am school-based at Lincoln Community High School, and I've gotten to meet like 2 of my new best friends because I'm going to pester all of you for resources. New prevention specialist, yay.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, Shelby. Oh, somebody moved. Okay. As you're joining us, I will say we are recording this meeting for those that were not able to attend in person. So that is my another update if you have joined prior to me mentioning that before. So if you have any issue with that, please let me know, or you can be anonymous. That is completely acceptable as well. Okay, Nell, go ahead.
Hi, excuse me, I'm Nell Hurley, and I'm a consultant for the state of Illinois. I have a background in creating recovery community organizations and creating recovery-oriented systems of care. So my role here is as a coach to this council, and I'll be working closely with Nadia on that effort, and I'm glad to be here. Good to see y'all.
Thank you. All right, Rachel, are you ready?
Sure. I'm Rachel Oney, the director of the Lincoln Salvation Army. And we serve 7 other counties kind of surrounding Sangamon County, a lot of the rural areas. So I'm just kind of here to support what's going on in the community. We do have a lot of different clients that come in with various kinds of substance use, and we want to make sure that I can offer them and refer them to the right resources.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us today, Rachel. All right, Michaela, are you ready?
Hi, my name is Michaela Hammond. I'm currently a senior at Lincoln College, and I was given this Zoom link by my professor, Dr. Rice.
Perfect. Well, thank you for joining us. All right. Okay. I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name. Is it Elisa or Alyssa? I'm not even close, am I?
No, you're very close. It's Elisa. You're right the first time. Yeah. Awesome.
Great. Okay, go ahead.
So my name's Elisa. I work for Memorial Behavioral Health in Lincoln. I'm a recovery specialist. We service Logan, Mason County, and I also work hand in hand with Logan County Drug Court as well, giving mental health services to some of our participants.
Thank you for joining us, and I'm going to need your email, ma'am. Okay. All right, Angie, go ahead.
Yes, I'm the only Angie. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Angie Chesensky. I'm the McLean County ROSC project coordinator, and I'm happy to join you.
Thanks. Okay, we've already talked to Vicki. Officer Butterfield, would you like to introduce yourself? I'm guessing that's who resource officer is. You can say no if you don't want to. Tim Butterfield, Lincoln PD. No, Mike. It's on order. Sorry. No, that's okay. That's cool. You can read the chat. Thanks for joining us today. Yes. All right. So let's get started here. Well, thank you. Hugs back. There we go. All right. Anyways, let's get started. So some of you are new since the last time we met. So if this is your second meeting with us, thank you. As a recap, we are going to ask that question and answer it. What is a ROSC? So I'm going to share my screen here. Let's get this going. Let me ask, can you see my PowerPoint? Yes. All right. So today is April 15th. Last time we met, I think it was Friday, March 19th. So we've come 30 days, and what have we learned and what are we going to accomplish? So this concept of a ROSC is a pretty big and broad one. So looking at the definition that SAMHSA provides, SAMHSA is the Substance Abuse Mental Health Services Administration. And the definition they provide, a recovery-oriented system of care is a coordinated network of community-based services and supports that is person-centered and built on the strength and resilience of their individuals, families, and communities to achieve abstinence and improved health, wellness, and quality of life for those at risk for substance use problems. So the biggest takeaway when we're thinking about what a ROSC looks like in Logan and Mason is that having that goal that it happens within the community. It's not something that Chestnut is doing. It's not something that any one particular agency or person is doing. It is driven by the community. And kind of the focus, the state took this charge on several years ago. And so this is housed under Illinois Department of Human Services, SUPER, which is Substance Use Prevention and Recovery. So they have focused this recovery-oriented system of care to ensure that appropriate mix of substance use disorder services and recovery supports are being provided to youth, adults, and their families across the entire state. So it's a transitioning of a mindset and a model, and recognizing we're going from this acute care model to more of a chronic care approach. And it's covering that gamut. I like to speak to the continuum, but when I say that, I mean it's prevention, it's intervention, treatment, medical assisted recovery. So it's that whole continuum. And how can we expand on that? So here's some things that it might look like. So we're going to collaborate and build to empower communities of recovery. So menu of services and supports, having that person-centered strengths and resiliencies, flexibility where there's different pathways to recovery. There's also, different supports out there. We'll talk about this in a little bit, the way to assess the supports that we currently have. Empower individuals, families, and communities to make choices about the care that they receive, and prioritize measuring of quality and outcomes. So we need to be able to see how we're doing and what data is out there, and then track the changes that we are able to make. I'm kind of breezing through this, so at any point, flag me down or take yourself off mute and holler at me, and I will try my darndest to answer your questions. But we did like that 30,000 foot view last time, and we're still, I think we've dropped about 15,000 feet, but we're still kind of up there. And pretty soon, I don't know about you guys, but you're like ready to do something. Let's make some next steps. So here's a little bit more guidance about where we're going and what those goals that this project, this initiative, this system of care is looking like. And so we need to identify who our active members are, who's at the table, who do we still need to get to the table. I tell you what, if you receive an email from me like 3 different times, I apologize. We're still working through getting that distribution list kind of ironed out. Or if you got it third party, if someone forwarded along to you, great, but let me have your contact information so I can get a hold of you directly. What is that communication plan going to look like? So part of that is the membership list that is coming up with a flow of, okay, we're going to have a website. Here's where our recorded meetings are. Here's our meeting minutes from last time. So if you miss a meeting, you don't feel left out. You don't feel like you've missed anything. You can bring yourself up to speed and see what is coming up. The agenda moving forward will be provided in advance of the meeting, but that's just having a good meeting, right? You know what to expect. So we will get that going as well. Ways that we can reach out to the community, meet people where they're at. Longer term is conducting a needs assessment. I know, especially in Logan County, you guys are wrapping up a community health needs assessment. So this will be kind of piggybacked off of that, but it's asking more specific questions to substance use issues, supports, and all of that. And then we want to do a resource assessment. So what do we have for the folks in our community, and what's still missing, and where can we start working to address those gaps? Okay, so did I spell that right? Who knows? I don't know. But common sense, we're all adults here, but just as we start moving and really getting into good discussions in these upcoming months, we want to agree on a general rules of engagement. So what does that look like? You know, we're meeting via Zoom, but at some point, hopefully someday, we'll be back all together and having these meetings, or some version of that, hybrid and in person. So be courteous, punctual, be present, contribute if you'd like to. Everyone's going to have a chance to participate. I'm talking a lot now, but you know what? Stop me at any time. You're welcome to speak. We're going to be respectful, listen with an open mind. When those problems do come up, we'll be prepared to address the problem, but not the individual maybe who's bringing that problem to our attention. And we're going to record those outcomes, follow up, and you know, you can talk and talk and talk, but we need to also work through an action plan. And what is that going to look like? And give ourselves attainable goals, and setting those SMART goals, right? Everybody knows what a SMART goal is. We can work on that. Anybody else have any additions to any of the rules of an engagement, if you will, that I completely missed, or if anybody else wants to share?
If it's okay, I'd like to quickly just say that I
Yeah.
feel like meetings are really can be a lot more productive and fruitful when we have homework to do, and we do our homework and then return back to the subsequent meeting having done our homework. Sorry, I'm a former educator, so I just used homework like 4 times. That's my kids hated me.
That's okay. Do you guys want homework? I almost assigned homework, but I thought I don't want to lose anybody.
It's a delicate balance, but I just think, you know, what showing up to the meeting isn't the work. The work happens when we're away from the meeting. And then when we get together for the hour, it's really just supposed to be to stitch together all of the businesses. I got a gold star from somebody.
I'm trying,
out.
I have my PowerPoint up. I'm trying to see everybody's shining smiley face, but okay. You know, we actually just had that discussion because I have something in mind. Nell can speak to it too. A couple other people I've touched base with. I have a great opportunity to kind of get your thinking caps on. So I'll be forwarding that out if I know you guys are okay with homework. But thank you for that suggestion. Anybody else have some more thoughts, comments, feedback? I'm trying to see everybody. Okay. And Debbie, hey, you just joined. I saw you. I didn't mean to not see you. Was just chatting. Okay. Let's keep going. All right. This is something to look forward to. So if you are a data person, or you like to get out there and find out what's happening, this is for you. It is coming down the pipe. We're not quite there yet, but this is something to think about. Hey, I really have a passion about that. Sign me up for this. Let's get the ball rolling on that. And that be conducting a community needs assessment. So in the next upcoming months, we'll be forming a subcommittee. So we won't take the time of the large group to work on this, but as a subcommittee, we'll be just tasked with identifying what are our current supports in the community, our current services that are being offered to people in Logan and Mason, any other group efforts or initiatives that are already taking place that we could potentially collaborate with. And then what's the end game? You know, do you think there is space or there's desire from the community to eventually become a recovery community organization? And having that working knowledge now, we can set ourselves up to be successful when that time comes. Because that is, as Nell will speak to in an upcoming meeting, that is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. And Nell, do you want to chime in anything about it right now? I'm putting you on the spot.
That's okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that the first step is going to be sort of understanding or figuring out what is the level of understanding around what is a recovery community organization. So just to give you guys a little bit more about my background, I've worked in the field of addiction recovery for like 12 years, and I was the founding executive director of one of the first recovery community organizations in Minnesota. It's called Minnesota Recovery Connection. And I actually just recently had a conversation with the woman who is the current executive director there. And she told me that she is still, so it's 12 years later, and the organization is doing great. And, you know, we have a very strong recovery community here with this really strong RCO in the Twin Cities. But she's still trying to like educate people about what is an RCO. Like no one's ever heard of an RCO. Like everyone's heard of treatment. Everyone knows, you know, what treatment is and what AA is, but kind of beyond that, people in the general public and oftentimes even people in our field don't have a very thorough understanding of a recovery community organization. And it's a really good thing for communities to have an RCO. It strengthens and supports the recovery community. It makes the recovery community visible. But it's like you said, Nadia, it doesn't happen overnight. There's a lot of work that goes into it. And I think, you know, that this work around doing a needs assessment and kind of a resource assessment is great. And if we can figure out some way to sort of incorporate into that, some way to measure, like, do people know what an RCO is? And, you know, if not, there are ways that we can work to educate the community around the benefits of having a recovery community organization. And then, you know, we would have to all pull together as members of the community, because again, this is not Chestnut's project. Like this is one of the things that I've kind of cautioned Nadia about a little bit, is that I think, especially when we're bringing together these, like in creating recovery oriented systems of care, when everyone is kind of an equal partner and a volunteer, things can sort of default to the person who's leading the meeting. Like, you know, it might be easy to think that like, oh, this is Nadia's project and she's gonna, you know, make sure it happens. But it's, you know, to the contrary, it's everyone's project. So anyway, I'm sort of babbling. I don't know if that answered your question, but I'm really excited to share my experience with recovery community organizations. And you know, I can, at one of the future meetings, I can give an overview of my background with RCOs. And I've also been able to work with a lot of RCOs across the country over the last 12 years. And there's a lot of good work being done out there. So anyway, I'll share that with you when I get the chance.
Yes, that's coming in the next couple of months. I think it's good to understand, have a really good grasp and knowledge base of what a recovery community organization is. So as we proceed with that needs assessment and think of those ways and strategies to see where the community is at with their knowledge base, we can speak to it too. So yes, be on the lookout for Nell in the next coming months. Thank you very much. And so, yeah, that is one of those subcommittees. One of those working goals that we will be looking at is doing a needs assessment. I put July, it'll probably start sooner than that. Our end goal to have a completed needs assessment will be in September. So that'll be here before you know it, really, by the time you get together and get moving and take the time, and all of us kind of work together to get it done. It'll be here before you know it. So that's why I'm putting it out there now. And you know, what that might look like. Was it a survey? Is it focus group, key informant interviews? There's other opportunities. I think it might the state has provided us with an assessment tool, but we can think strategically about the ways we want to implement it within Logan and Mason. And I see a bunch of chat. Is there chat? Chat. Okay, yeah.
Nadia,
Yes.
I would say Nadia or Nell, can you just speak to really quick, because I know there could be a little bit of confusion, the difference between a high level, the ROSC, and an RCO?
Yeah. Is that okay, Nadia?
Yes,
Can I
please.
just take a minute?
This is your wheelhouse.
Thanks, Angie. No, that's a good question. And Rachel, you're not alone in not knowing what an RCO is. It's, it's not a mainstream, even though there are like over 200 RCOs across the country. That's a lot of, recovery community organizations, but it's not really a mainstream thing. It's not, it's not a household concept or word, but we'll get there. I promise. So an RCO is basically, it's an independent nonprofit organization, usually kind of a grassroots organization. So it comes out of the community rather than like the federal government coming in and saying, we're going to do this. Sometimes RCOs are funded partly by governments, but an RCO is basically a grassroots, independent, nonprofit organization that is run and led by members of the local recovery community, and they exist to support and strengthen the recovery communities. Most RCOs do three things. They do public education, they do advocacy around addiction recovery, and not all, but most offer peer-based recovery support services. RCOs are basically, like, if you can think of like how almost every town or city or community has like a senior center, even small towns, like rural towns, they'll have a senior center and senior citizens can go there and like play bridge and it's kind of a social club, but they all might also have access to services and, they all are sort of different, depending on the community that they're in. RCOs are kind of like that. It's basically, it's a support system for the recovery community. RCOs, recovery community organizations, are part of a recovery-oriented system of care. So the recovery-oriented system of care is the much bigger umbrella that is, kind of like this coordinated network of programs and supports and services and different things that exist in the community to bridge gaps for people between, maybe between treatment and life and recovery, or for people who never make it to treatment in the first place. And a really robust, healthy, recovery-oriented system of care would have a recovery community organization as part of it, a place where people can go to receive peer-based recovery support, be connected to other resources in the community. And also it's a group of people that is advocating for addiction recovery, trying to reduce stigma, making sure that, there's not discrimination around who gets into treatment and who doesn't, that kind of thing. So public education, advocacy, and peer-based recovery support. Not all, this is where it gets a little bit confusing, so maybe I shouldn't even say this, but not all recovery community organizations actually have a brick and mortar, like a physical location. Most of them do though, but you can have an RCO in your community that does strictly advocacy work, and they just do it out in the community without having their own building. The other thing that, and this is the last thing I'll say, I don't mean to take up too much time. The other thing that an RCO does for a community is it does different activities that bring visibility to the recovery community. So there might be people living in Logan and Mason counties who you know, of course, they've heard of treatment and they've heard of AA. They might even know where there are AA meetings, you know, in the local church or something. But other than that, they can't really see the recovery community. It's kind of invisible. Recovery community organizations make it visible and accessible to people. So communities that have really strong RCOs, everyone in that town, whether they're in recovery or needing recovery or, you know, think that they don't know anyone in recovery, they know where the RCO is, just like they know where the senior center is and they know where the public library is. So anyway, I don't want to get too carried away, but that's the difference. So an RCO is part of a ROSC, if that makes sense.
Thank you, Nell. You eloquently put it and did a great job concisely explaining, because I would be still talking for another 45 minutes. So thank you. Good job. Some next steps. One of those is to have kind of a more in-depth understanding of the difference, kind of some other examples. I very quickly touched on that, but what can a ROSC do, and what are things that those networks that we can build, those connections we can make, addressing those gaps in services or barriers to service. Some kind of more nuts and bolts of it. Eventually, part of the grants requirements, part of our own benefit is to come up with a nice council list, like who's at the table. These are our community stakeholders, and do we have representation of our community stakeholders at our table? And I'm going too quick. So those are some things to think about as we look around the room today. A room, I don't know, a Zoom, a room. Anyways, as we look around today, are we representative of these different stakeholders, or maybe they couldn't come, but they're aware of the meetings that are happening, and they have the know-how on how to get involved when they're ready to. So making ourselves accessible. So as you guys are here today, you will help champion this initiative, this change, or this recovery-oriented system of care for Logan and Mason. So these are some things to keep your thinking hats on. Reach out to me, or anyone that you feel most comfortable talking with, and we can maybe make sure we identify who's missing and get them to the table as well. So here's where we're at. We would like to get in this monthly groove. So I did send out a Survey Monkey a few weeks ago. I had not great participation. I had about 10, 13 people that did participate. We identified 2 p.m. on a Thursday. They had, of all the meeting times, that had the most say they were available. We are recording this meeting. I'm open to suggestions moving forward. Really, I recognize we're not going to find a time that meets for everyone, but at the same time, if you feel passionately about another time or another day of the week, anything like that, please let me know. There will be other opportunities as we start to plan and grow. There are going to be subcommittee meetings, and those are not going to be at the same time or the same day. I think those would be even more flexible to potentially meet later in the day or even on the weekend, just depending on the nature of what that subgroup is planning to do. So, all right, let me see here. I think that covers it. So, like I said, I've tried to do a poll, and I think it's going to launch. It's going to give you all the questions. We're just going to try it. So just hang out with me, and here we go. So launching. So yeah, there's 4 questions. I don't have any cool music again. I should have some cool music, but take some time, think about it. This is kind of a way just to gauge what we're doing, just read them. I'll stop talking. Take a break.
Why are you giving us the same option twice? Is that the only acceptable option?
what, did I screw it up? Which question, Shelby?
Number 1, A, work allows me to participate.
Oh.
Work allows me to participate.
Well, see, I go. See?
Correct answer. Work allows you to participate.
So the first one, the intention was work allows me to participate. The second, the meeting time is conducive to my schedule. See, we're work in progress, right? So, and there's a lot of room for other. So if you feel comfortable including in the chat what that other might be, please. If you don't feel comfortable sharing what that other is now, and you want to email or message, this is that contribution piece. Like I'm just trying to facilitate the discussion. Everyone in the community knows more than what I know, so I need your feedback. Move forward. This is cool. I kind of like it if I can do it right. So thanks for being my guinea pigs with Zoom. And as you guys are wrapping up that, Nell put in the chat. Was it Nell that put it in the chat? Yeah. Where did my check?
So the link that I put in the chat is a link to a PDF of a white paper that was written. It's kind of old. It's like maybe 12 or 13 years old. But it's still good. It's called, I think it's called Towards a Working Definition of Recovery Community Organization. And it was written by 3 people. Pat Taylor, who is the former executive director of Faces and Voices of Recovery, which is one of the national advocacy groups for the addiction recovery community. Phil Valentine, who's the executive director of an awesome recovery community organization in Connecticut called CCAR, and Bill White, William White, who you probably many of you know. He has a connection to Chestnut. So they wrote this paper. It's kind of technical. It's real kind of dry and boring. It's just technical, which, recovery community organizations are so exciting and fun and vibrant. And this is just like a very formal white paper, but it has all the elements in there. So if you want to check it out, you can.
Thank you for sharing those. I appreciate it. Ooh, all right. Can I share these chat? Well, everybody can read the chat, right? Other action-oriented agenda. I like it. Increase control. Thank you. Okay. All right. So thank you, Josh. Action-oriented agenda, increase community compassion. Good. Great suggestions. We have 17 of 18. Can I end my poll? 94% participation. Does that work for y'all? Good. Oh, oh.
Okay, I'm really sorry. Please don't read this thing.
Okay, no
I tried to
problem.
copy and paste a different thing.
No problem. Okay, let's go ahead and end our polling. Ooh, can I share these? Ooh. Can you see these? Can you see the results?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Grace. All right. So, upcoming events and topics that interest me. Okay. Yeah. That action-oriented agenda. Yeah, that fills in nicely. Okay. What do we want to see? Sober living, increase community awareness. Yeah. And that kind of plays into stigma reduction as well. I know, Angie, I'm putting you on the spot. The State ROSC Council is starting to look at a organized initiative to, you want to share, to have a campaign focused on stigma reduction, right?
Yeah, that's the gist of it. And we want it to be statewide because we want the messaging to be consistent. And that's about even the rules of engagement for engaging people with lived experience, to bring people to the table, and also for community members as a whole to be receptive to these conversations and just being open-minded. A lot of reciprocity, a lot of building. And in order to do that, to increase awareness and that receptivity, we need to reduce some stigma across the whole state. And so the state is looking at above in different areas, sober recreation, sober living, to reduce some of that stigma. And there's going to be messaging and marketing campaigns coming out.
Thank you. Yeah, so that goes hand in hand with increased community awareness for what the ROSC is and what it's doing, but then also, yeah, what does the ROSC, what's the definition, and what's the recovery community organization, and what can it mean for Logan and Mason? All right, who's missing? The community in general. Yeah, there's a lot more people in Logan County and Mason County in our total population. I mean, I am pleased with the turnout today, but we can always grow more, right? But that's great. So this would be that networking opportunity. Once we are have information up on the website, we're promoting that and sharing that, then we can ask your guys' help to really reach out to all of our community members and get them to the table as well. And then the last one, what do you think needs to be included in the mission? So along with the development of that needs assessment, as a ROSC, we need to develop what are our mission, what's the goals, what are our values, and that's something we'll also have to work towards. So improving health, wellness, recovery, promote health and safety, provide adequate supports for recovery to happen in the community. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. Yes, ma'am.
Throw something out there. This has to do with, being inclusive and making sure that we have as many members of the recovery community at the table as possible. And Vicki and the folks that are there, I'm so glad you're there. I myself am a person in long-term recovery, and I got involved in this work because I am in recovery and because it's, so directly important to my life and my family's life. I think it's really important to have people in early recovery as part of this conversation, just because it's, like I've been sober for 23 years, and sometimes I'm like, it just feels like it's been a long time. Like things have changed, the drugs have changed, the systems have changed, and having people who are a little bit closer to it and who can help us identify what the barriers might be is really valuable. So I just want to throw that out, that I think it's important when building a ROSC to have people who are, kind of early in recovery. And I think it's awesome that you guys are there with your many years of experience. That's super valuable too. But it's good to have both.
Yeah,
I was just going to say, Teresa was going to try to get her group today as a whole to participate. I know she had an email issue. I don't know if she ended up getting on, but we're trying.
Good deal.
We are trying to get those people that you're talking about as part of this process involved.
Thank you.
Nadia, do you mind if I piggyback off what Nell just said?
Go ahead. Anybody can talk.
So Nell, just like what you were speaking to, when people in wherever they are in their recovery journey, when they can come in and embrace, and me as well, when I was doing the ROSC early on in my treatment, and it was so empowering, not only for myself, my personal development and identity, but also to engage the community. There's a lot of reciprocity, and organically some things just unfolded. So it's not just us coming to the table in the professional business aspect of it, of helping develop the recovery community organization, but putting that unity in community is like really, everyone has a stake in it, and it's really helping to accentuate other people's assets and what they're trying to find their new identity in their early recovery path. And so having that kind of facilitator, empowering role is really beneficial.
So true. Yep. Thanks, Angie.
Yeah, thank you. I'm opening it up. Go ahead, Josh.
I have a question, which is about kind of how large this gallery of individual tiles is. People that are professionally involved, but maybe not coming from having the roots of lived experience and being on that recovery journey, and perhaps if that can function as like an intimidation factor. And I don't know, I'd be curious to learn. I'd be curious to hear thoughts and opinions about that. But it seems like it would be a pretty kind of loud space. I think we're probably all of, or our hearts are in the right place, but that doesn't change perhaps just like the underlying thing. And I could be way off base because I usually am. So.
Is anyone who has more experience in starting and working ROSC want to speak to that more so than me?
Josh, to that point, it really comes down to relationship building and where you are with that individual. Let's say, and I hate using titles and labels, things like that, but people live experience walking that path. If someone on the business side, say if Rachel, not to pick on you, I just saw your name, say Rachel has a good relationship with some of the individuals she's met in her professional line. And so she has that relationship to bring them to the meeting to offer their input. It all matters where the person is and if they're receptive. They may be in a part of their recovery journey where they want to take on leadership roles. They want to be heard. They want to be seen. Or some may want to be like, okay, I'm intimidated. That's too much. You might want to work with a smaller group. You want to meet people where they are, and let's build the ROSC around their needs and what they need. So if they need a smaller group, you know what? Branch off to a smaller group, but your voice needs to be heard at this table.
And I look for that opportunity as we're kind of getting the wheels underneath of us to provide and offer maybe that subgroup that working, maybe it's a more intimate setting, so more folks are comfortable. And then when that comfort grows, then they can join larger group, or just as long as we have that representation of everyone and that their voice is being heard in some way, shape, or form. And there might be some other strategies. Can put something in the chat if an individual wants to join, but they're not necessarily comfortable or they're intimidated. Can we? Do they want to stay anonymous, or can they share? Or starting off, maybe they don't want to attend a live meeting, but they have the availability to go watch the meeting and then provide feedback afterward. But these are all great points and things to consider as we continue, because by no means do I want to make anyone feel uncomfortable or push anybody away.
Nathan, real quick.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, I think yes. And what is exciting to me, and being someone with lived experience and being in this profession and that kind of thing, is that's what's exciting, is that things are starting to, you're having people with lived experience who have went to get the education to be able to come back. And I think that's really going to lend to the building a bridge that is going to bring, create some comfortability and have the same language for those who are still struggling and suffering versus the ones who do not understand, who are more clinicians, who are more, stuck in the stigma, and, to be able to bridge that gap. So I definitely am excited to see that happening more and more. And we can't ever get there if the professionals who do not have lived experience aren't open up to it now. So the folks that do not have that lived experience but are coming to the table, I hope you know how valuable and an asset you are, because it is you all who are leading other folks who may not have an understanding, to even have an ear to hear, while those of us who've had lived experience and know that hell and that, what we go through, can again, bridge that gap.
Thank you, Jeanette. Yes. Yeah. It's a both and for sure. Oh, okay. 8 minutes. Anybody have any thoughts, additional thoughts, comments, questions? We can end early if you want. I'll give you back 5 minutes of your time for the day. Any other feedback?
What's the homework?
Okay, so it's a TED Talk. I was straining my brain I was hoping to share a TED Talk with you guys during the meeting. We all watch it. We do a breakout room because you know how techie I am, right? And then you have small group discussions and we bring it back and we kind of reflect on it as a large group. This is great, but time-wise, if we're trying to stay in that 60-minute window, it's a 16-minute TED Talk for ample discussion. This is my daughter. She's on. Say hi, everybody.
Oh my gosh, hilarious.
Can I finish?
Hello.
Just a minute. Okay, so it's a TED Talk. It's like 4 or 5 questions. You want to answer those questions, and we can bring that kind of as the starting board for our next meeting. So I'll send that out, and we can go from there. So yeah, the hardest step to climb a mountain is the first, and we've done that. Thank you, Marcia. That's great. We'll end on that. Yeah, we'll be sending out notes here in the next week. We'll kind of get a better system. Plan on that 20th of May, unless that date, is that a good date? It's not like a holiday or anything, right? Plan that, and I'll send out the homework as well. And we can move forward from there. So thank you all for joining us today, and I appreciate your time. And you have 6 minutes back. Anybody else? Yes. Somebody say something? No. Okay. All right. You guys take care, and we'll see you next month.
Bye. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.
Now.
Bye.